Welcome to my video of a 1cc of ESPGaluda. This video is recorded using the PS2 port, played directly on the PS2, used the replay feature. One thing you'll notice as you're watching this to folks who maybe haven't seen the PS2 port or its replay feature is it's a little different than, kind of something that's built into modern ports or modern shoot 'em ups. What you'll find is that it actually records each stage as a separate file. So between each stage you're going to see a loading screen, but one way to know it is in fact all the same run is that the score in the upper left does in fact match between stages. So as you can see, the PS2 port's got all the nice scan lines. This run is performed using Ageha. It's funny, most CCs that I've gone online, 1cc runs that I've gone online and looked at, all of them seem to use Ageha, and so one of these times I'll probably go and do a Tateha run, but for now this is my own run with Ageha. Now interestingly, ESPGaluda was probably it's definitely the first cave shoot 'em up shmup. It's one of the earlier games in the genre that I really kind of got into, and I had actually imported this for the PS2 years and years ago. Kind of as I was getting into the genre a little bit, which I can talk about a little bit in a couple minutes. As I was getting into the genre, it was actually the just something about this game, its art style. Later on I found out that it was probably a pretty good for entry into the genre, which can be quite difficult. At least Cave as a developer is known to make some pretty difficult games, and so this is probably one of their more accessible ones with the bullet time mechanic, among other things. And so I've actually recently dusted off my PS2 port. I kind of went away from the genre, got back into it recently. And given that this was, one of the first games I was really into, was part of my rationale for deciding to go back and doing ESPGaluda run. Another interesting thing, most people probably use arcade sticks. I myself am a fan of arcade sticks, but I recorded and was practicing for and recorded this run many times while holding my baby son, who is he'll sometimes fall asleep in my lap when I'm playing games, and so this is all done with the PS2 pad, which the PS2 D-pad is decent, good enough. And while I do have an arcade stick for the PS2, it's definitely not my favorite of all my arcade sticks. Just don't like the feel. The stick feels a little tight. So anyway, we're wrapping up stage 1 here. I figured I would just kind of do some intro talk and not actually talk about the run itself very much. But for those who are familiar with the game, you've probably already noticed I'm not necessarily going for high score here. This is more just a survival run. One thing I also will say about kind of my play style with this genre is I am prone to a lot of what I call bad deaths. And what I mean by bad deaths is a high resource death. So, I'll die without using any bombs. So I kind of learned to play in Mushihime-sama, another cave shooter that, that one's a slightly different style, at least in original mode. It's, bullets are faster and it's kind of, I'll use the term more aggressive. I definitely do not bomb a lot in shooters, and so, but when I was playing Mushihime-sama, I really, kind of started learning that, hey, sometimes even if you think the run's going good, man, it can go downhill quick, so just bomb, use the bomb. It's a resource there for you, and don't be too stingy. And the nice thing about using bombs, too, is, when you use them, kind of once they're all consumed, you can kind of die with peace, and a lot of these types of games that really kind of rely on focus. Sometimes relaxation, being relaxed can really help too, and having basically run out of resources, you can be really relaxed and just kind of do your best on some of the difficult patterns. If you're in a difficult pattern, just do your best. And you'll see in this run I start bombing around stage 3. Yeah, so we're up to second stage mini boss, mid boss, I should say. Once again, not too much of a scoring run. A lot of times when I play this stage, I'll really start to hoard the gems for the Kakusei. That's the bullet time mechanic. In this run, I used it a little more freely, not so much for score, although sometimes I was getting cancels where I could. But when you start to play this game for score, you kind of wait till the last second and convert over to Kakusei, and I do that plenty of times. But if you're doing a survival run like I did here, particularly as we get into like stages 4 and 5, really just using the bullet time mechanic for some survival is quite handy. So you saw there I pegged out at 500, so I switch over and I'll get some cancels. But the reason it's handy for survival, not only because the bullets slow down, but also using it at certain times can really get you opportune cancels. Like if you kill enemies while you're not in Kakusei mode, there'll be plenty of bullets on the screen, and sometimes, even after you kill the enemy, their bullets stay on the screen and can cause problems for you. So now we're at the stage 2 boss. I've rambled a bunch, not talked about the run. This is all, when you're going for 1cc in these types of games, depending on how good the training mode is and whatnot, you've just done stages 1 and 2 so many times. It kind of comes second nature. So I just got the first extend. It's at 40,000. So even though I'm not playing super for score, I'm doing enough, that I got the first extend in stage 2. I had enough gems there to complete that form in Kakusei. And then, so now we get into stage 3. ESPGaluda, first couple stages, not really that, particularly when you've done them so many times, not really some dense patterns, other, cave shooters. Stage 3 is usually where it ramps up. Sometimes certain games, even stage 2, like Ketsui, second stage boss, there's some tricky things there that, on any given time you can slip up and, have a bad miss, bad death. But not, here in ESPGaluda, not as much. I would say that last form of the second boss, sometimes that can be challenging if you don't use Kakusei or a bomb. Sometimes I'll just use the guard barrier bomb mechanic, and in ESPGaluda you can actually charge it up and use more of your meter for a more powerful shot. And sometimes I'll just, on that last form of the second boss, I'll just go in and kind of kamikaze it with the guard barrier on and kind of kill it in one shot and use up half or so of my guard meter. So now stage 3, again, stage 3 in this game is actually pretty long. But early on, this is getting to the stage or part of the game where it's a little easier to, maybe if you're being a little too lax or not paying attention, maybe it, you can get a bad death. In this run, kind of following similar route that I normally follow. Probably using Kakusei a little bit more than usual. A lot of times I'll hoard all the way up to the mid-boss. In this case, I was below 400 gems. Again, I knew I was going for survival, so sometimes where I wouldn't normally use it, I'll just go into Kakusei just to get the cancel, clear the screen a little bit, have it be a little comfortable. So in this mid-boss here, again, pretty standard stuff. I think this second half of the third stage is really in this game where it starts to get, particularly because you have these waves of these, popcorn enemies that are more aggressive than most enemies in this game. You can definitely start to get to a place, where you can kind of get a bad miss. So I don't remember how much I used my bomb necessarily. But I will say one of the kind of interesting things about the design of this stage 2, particularly with these waves of these enemies, if you're in Kakusei mode when they come out, you will just mow through your gems, because I don't know exactly the math, but my understanding is roughly, the amount of green gems you would get for killing something is the amount of green gems that are consumed when you kill it in Kakusei. So it just kind of mows down your gems. So it's kind of a neat way that they, design. I feel like those waves, because they show up in stage 5 too, they are really designed to force you to not use Kakusei unless you, again, want to completely blow through your gems. Sometimes here in this too, if you want to get cancels, like on this turret here, I never go into the Kakusei because I know that wave is coming. And you can see here I'm sitting on a lot of gems. My routing, sometimes my routing in this part of the stage too can get a little wonky, and I'll run into problems here. Pretty good this run. Here's the hidden extend. Again, you go into bullet time, and which I've been calling by his Japanese name Kakusei for most of this. You go into that and shoot that spot, and it'll reveal the hidden extend, the hidden stage 3 extend for this game. So this is where my run starts to go a little wonky. A lot of times I'll be able to have a nice comfortable path through this boss. I knew I was sitting on a lot of gems, and so right there, I got lucky. I totally should have gone into bullet time, but did not. And then you saw me hesitate there, see if I was going to go for a cancel, and I decided, I won't. I'll hang on to the gems, because again, I'm not doing this as a scoring run. I'm doing this as a survival run. Now, interestingly, this is the part of the boss that you can milk for points, because it shoots out those enemies. You can see right here, I totally lost control, went into Kakusei, and then just kind of very erratic, moving back and forth. So that ate up half my guard barrier. If you get hit while you're in Kakusei, it will auto bomb, but it will take half your meter, which is equivalent worth of 2 bombs. And again, I go into slow down mode and completely run into the bullet. And then I mistimed the cancel there, and I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, here we go. This run is junk. Even though I have 5 lives, I've completely mowed through my bomb meter, and so I'm going into stage 4. Already fairly low resource. You'll notice here too, my line-in equipment for, it's the first time I used a video recorder I'd bought years and years ago to actually record off of VHS tapes. Never used it for that. That's a time-consuming process. Never got to. But it has this visual like flicker thing going on. Now my kids were jumping around and running around while I was recording this too, so maybe it was kind of a loose-ish connection with an old composite video cable that was getting a little wonky. But it goes away after stage 4. Something about late stage 3, stage 4, something was going on. So anyway, now stage 4, this is kind of where things in my mind for this game get real. This is where you can start to have pile up misses if you're not careful, and kind of really take a decent run to that point. Just kind of go down the tubes pretty quickly. And as I mentioned before, I was bombless, and my gems were pretty low too. So like right here, I'm off route, kind of got trapped. I was, kept my composure. Luckily, was able to sneak back. Easily could have died there. Probably would have bombed if I had any. Here's an example where I wouldn't normally go for the Kakusei, but I wanted to get those bullets off the screen because I already knew I was running around bombless, and decided, hey, I'm going to go conservative. And it worked out because here I am at the mid-boss, still have, pegged at 500 gems, which, again, doing a survival run, that can give you, for any boss or mid-boss fight, give you plenty of time and bullet time. Didn't go into Kakusei there again. Not a scoring run. Gonna sit on those gems. I knew I was running low on bombs, so just play it conservative. Of course, you get that second cancel there. I really could have tried to min-max the gems, but I didn't. So now we get into the second half of the stage again, still bombless. At this point, I'm consider it kind of playing on house money, so to speak. But it also kind of allows you to be relaxed, like in that, just a little bit ago, I kind of got a little trapped off route, and not a problem, just kind of kept composure, worked through it. Again, here, sometimes I could have tried being heroic. Sometimes you can navigate that without going into Kakusei, but not going to do it. Here again, the screen starts doing the flickering. But overall, you know, besides 1 or 2 times getting off route, still pretty good, pretty smooth. Pretty smooth sailing, so to speak. But I think there's one more time where I got it might be right here where I get way trapped off. No, it wasn't. Where I got trapped off to the left side of the screen, and I actually thought the game was generous to me. Where I actually thought I had a miss. I'll point it out when I get there if I see it. Or maybe I already went past it. You know, where I have this, you know, because this is a recording, I could go frame by frame. Although with the interlacing, it can get really tough to see exactly where the hitbox is. So like right there again, burning gems, but you know what? Okay, no bombs. Got through the whole stage, no bombs, without dying. Yeah, at this point I was like, okay, this run could be something. Because even though my junk performance on stage 3 boss, you know, I was able to get here. Right there, slow down. It saved me at that point. Yeah, I kind of got pinched off there. Yeah, so here comes my first miss, and you know, not normally I can navigate this again. You know, not terrible, given how far I got in before that first miss. Although I did have some slowdown that I could have used. You know, probably mentally trying to save it for later. Yeah, that's one of the bad habits I have when I profess to want to be doing a survival run, and then I'm hoarding resources and get a bad death. So now I got full bomb, you know, sitting on about 200 gems. I've seen people go back and forth on this, kind of try and pick off those little moving turrets on both sides. I don't here, you know, again, going for survival, go for slowdown. I don't usually die there, but sometimes I do. Right there, you saw me hesitate and not fire because I was like, hey, maybe I'll go for the cancel, and then nah, I'm going to try saving all of my gems for this phase, because I don't practice this phase a lot without gems, because usually I'm sitting on a lot. So it's just nice to have it. And of course, I just run out of gems here and don't get the cancel. But again, not going for score, no big deal. You know, next extend is at I think 14 million. I'm at 11. You know, it'll definitely. Yeah, I'm confident at this point. Hey, that other extend that'll come somewhere in stage 5 here. And actually, it might not come till second half of stage 5 in this run. So again, PS2, you know, it's got the, instead of showing you the stage between, it's actually pulling the replay file off the memory card. One other interesting thing about the replay feature in this, I'll mention before I start talking about the run again itself, was at any point during the replay, if you press a button, you can pick up from where you left off. So while this doesn't have save states, it does kind of allow you to practice something, but you have to watch the whole replay to get there, so it's not really that useful, but it's kind of a weird feature. Early enough, I feel like they were still playing around with different features. So again, this is where my normal runs can start to go awry, because you know, even if I'm this far along, you know, so this is still a pretty good run, only one miss all the way on stage 5. You know, I'm sitting on full bombs. I won't use them, but there I used it. Again, I think that's a bad habit of mine, that when I'm playing for survival, I got to try breaking a little more, which is use your bombs. So I did there. And I think, again, I got trapped a little bit there. Use the bomb. Don't try and be a hero. Running low on gems. I know there's big enemies coming up. See if I can get the cancel on them, which I do not. But at the time, you know, leading into it, I was trying to. And then, so now I've completely gone through the bombs. Got the energy. I'm excited. And then I have that crap miss. I was relying too much on... I knew I had burned through the bomb, so I was kind of anxious about getting that energy power up. And so I pick it up, and then trying to get back to kind of a safer position lower on the screen, have the miss. So now I'm at 2 misses. You know, again, not the end of the world. You know, by this stage, again, this is what I was talking about in stage 5. Those waves of enemies. You don't, I mean, unless you want to burn through your gems, you really don't want to go into slowdown there, which I didn't. You know, and was only had to use one of the 4 bombs after respawning. So now I'm at 2 misses, stage 5-1 boss, full gems. So, and here I am trying to be a hero. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. But I used the bomb. You know, and I still have 100 or so. You know, I only used 100 or so gems. There's a couple times here where, again, I was kind of close to. I mean, luckily those bars of bullets, those big round bullets, they actually have much smaller hitboxes than they would appear to. But there's a couple times where I just cut it really close, like right there, right there. Oh man, like what was I thinking? Why did I not bomb? No clue. And again, that's some of my bad habits that you know, can really tank a run for me. And then I also have the psychological problem that once I have a bad miss like that, I start stewing on it rather than dropping it and focusing, and then like things go downhill fast. But so right there, I'm in Kakusei and I still get hit. So now I've completely burned through my bomb. So just like the stage 3 boss, you know, a couple bad dodging instances of bad dodging, where now I'm bombless going into a tough section. You know, so now I'm at 2 misses. Still haven't got the extend actually, because you know, with that miss and whatnot, haven't been going for cancels. You know, I get the second score extend. You know, a little bit into, you know, the castle here. One interesting thing about the castle here, so with these dolls, I did not, for a long time, my route through this was junk. I would not use the laser shot. I would instead use the shot, where you move quicker. And this is a part of this stage where really cutting it close there again. I didn't have bomb, but I didn't go in this slowdown either. So it wouldn't have been a terrible death had I died there, and that was one of those places where I'd say maybe the game was generous. At least I felt there. I just got the extent. You know, I felt like I was a little lucky, but sometimes you got to be lucky. There, completely terrible. Well, just kind of, again, walked into the bullet. So here I'm like, oh, I'm totally gonna get caught at the top. I didn't. Got a little lucky there. Again, I'd say I dodged that, but that was luck. I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. I went down. And I was really trying to save bomb there. I could have just hit the bomb button, used one of the 4, took the risk, paid off in this case. So now I'm at 3 misses, and I got all the extends, so I'm back to the 3. So the 3 lives you start the game with, basically. So should have used the bomb because you get the extra bomb energy there, and I just didn't leverage it. Took unnecessary risk, but it didn't bite me. So anyway, here we are, final boss. You know, anything less than 3 lives, you know, I feel, hey, this run's done. I mean, there's just so many phases to the last boss in this game. So I usually do most of this without any of the slowdown or bomb. I'm pretty comfortable with this form. Here I always go into slowdown, just with the speed of bullets in this game being a little slower. And these ones are really fast and aggressive, and my eyes just, I haven't trained them right, just can't keep up with it. So, but normally this phase I'll go without going in slowdown mode. I have no gems. Wisely used the bomb there. I probably would have gotten caught. Right there, it looked like I was pretty darn close to a bad death too. Again, sometimes you got to be lucky. Another note I'll give, I should have given at the beginning. This was actually my second 1cc run for this game. First one, I didn't realize the replay feature existed, but had gotten it a little, you know, maybe a month earlier than I did this, before I moved on to other games. So now here I am, final boss. No gems, but 3 bombs, 3 lives. Like, there's a chance. It really depends how I do. Sometimes I'll have some... Yeah, I struggle with this pattern here. Sometimes I will die on it. Again, going conservative. I go in with the bomb there. I'm out of gems. So then I got to do a second bomb here. I felt I had to anyway. Again, I had already pushed my luck a couple times. So now I'm down to 1 bomb. No gems. Sometimes this pattern gives me a hard time. Didn't have to bomb. I'm not sure I completely figured that pattern out. The Alice Dolls spawned weird on this one. Like, normally I don't have to do that much dodging with them, but there I felt really kind of trapped. So here I am kind of wrapping up the first life bar, the boss. You know, again, feeling okay, getting through that first life bar, you know, without a miss. Kind of necessary, I feel, if you're only going to 3. If you're going with 4 lives or more, you kind of are playing with house money. So, funny story here. My wife comes down with my son, who, you know, had just been asleep, and she tries putting him in my lap right there when I get that miss. So, and I got a bomb again here. Not that I would have called that a bad death. The one where I was getting the energy and then immediately died afterwards in this run is really what I would call one of my 2 bad deaths. My next bad death is actually coming up right here. I didn't keep track of how much gems I had, and I knew I would be cutting it close, but I ran out, and instead of hitting bomb, you know, I try going in the slowdown mode and get picked off. So that was a bad death too. So now I'm down to 2, but only 2 forms left. But I got some gems here, and, you know, spend most of this form burning through my gems. I actually come out of the Kakusei mode at the end because I wanted to save a little bit of gems, but then I looked up and only had 33. Sometimes I find them handy, not so much to try and get the cancel in this final form, but what I find them handy for is if I really need to get it to slow down, just to work through. So, again, 3 bombs, and I forget if I'm on my last life here or not. I forget how the life markers work in this game, whether I'm on my final life here or not. And actually, the fact that I didn't know is good, because I have had runs in this game where I'm at. So there, I wanted to use the Kakusei again. Dump a bomb, because again, if you bomb him, it will heal him, so you don't want that. And then, at this point, I knew I had it. Right here is where I knew I had it. It was a little dicey there. I have had runs where I've died, like, I panicked when I was on my last life and the low life chime comes in, and I choke it away. Not knowing whether I was on my last life was actually very helpful. So anyway, that was my 1cc run. You know, I was pretty pleased when I first got it for ESPGaluda here, because like I had mentioned, this was actually one of my first cave games. You know, it's probably one of the easier ones, I'll say, last boss notwithstanding. And so, you know, I'll probably do a couple more of these as I start to, you know, work on getting some 1cc's now that I'm getting back into this genre. You know, if I get some 1cc runs, I'll post